Hello, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We're about to start. If you want to leave in the chat where are you from and for where are you watching us, we're happy to have you all here. And also, if you don't mind answering the poll that should appear on your screen, so we know if you are already an existing Real Estate IQ subscriber and if you would like to have a free demonstration of our tools. Okay, so we're moving forward. We have Martin with us today talking about how to flip a house, 5 things you need to get started. So we are really happy to have him here. And we are Real Estate IQ. Your deal is our mission, and we are deal maker and dream maker. And we provide the best real estate solutions, committed to help one more person to win. So make your deals come true. This is to streamline your deal making process. So these are the solutions that we provide. So we offer off-market leads. We provide daily updated lists, Monday to Friday, of motivated sellers to contact. Get the freshest data mined straight from the card houses. We also offer EVA CMA. So run real estate comps in seconds with our renewed CMA. You can check each property's data, select the ones to compare, and get reports instantly. We also offer custom leads mining. If you're looking for specific area leads, look no further. We now provide custom off-market data mining all over 50 states. And last but not least, we also offer virtual assistants. So one solution for administrative tasks, customer service, and technical support to grow your business. So let's walk together toward your success. If you're looking for more, please try our exclusive membership. These are our social media accounts where you can follow us as well. We are in Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and you can use the QR codes that appear below of each icon, so you can join us in our community. And you can also use the QR code that appears on the right side of the screen, so you can join us in our newsletter, so you don't miss any of our weekly webinars and in-person events. We also offer you a one-on-one consultation, a free 30 minutes in-depth consultation of Real Estate IQ's services with one of our experts. So feel free to schedule it now by scanning the QR code that appears on the screen. And this is a very short video of what we do at Real Estate IQ. Okay, thank you everyone for attending today. I will stop sharing my screen, so we are moving forward with Martin. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat box and the Q&A box, so Martin is able to look at it and answer as soon as possible.
Do I have the floor?
Thank you.
You got it. Okay, thank you, Maria. Thank you so much for that. Hello, everyone. My name is Martin Cherra, and my company is Express Capital Financing. We are nationwide direct lenders that specialize in bridge loans, hard money, which is the same thing, and commercial mortgages, which is 30-year perm. This topic is going to be about, by the way, I've been around for about 8 years. I'm also a savvy investor. I'm 59 years old. I used to do investing in my late 20s. At that time, there was no hard money and it was just your own money. But in my time also, there was something called an American Express Centurion Bank, which gave you a credit card with an open actual checkbook with unlimited amount of money. Of course, you approved for a certain amount, but that checkbook was good for that amount. And that was how I started doing investing back in my 20s and early 30s using that type of a funding scenario. Today, there's a lot of hard money lenders out there, and that's where you can obtain massive wealth in real estate. So this topic is about how to flip houses, the positive, the negatives, where to find distressed properties. A lot of my phone calls are, I'm getting outbidded. It's a bidding war still. What's going on? I'm going crazy. So in this presentation, we're going to break down in each phase how to flip a house, what you need to know, and start flipping houses. Um, it is still a tough market out there. People are finding it difficult to find deals. We all get that. In this business, you have to be creative because deals are created, they're not found. There's never going to be a deal and say, you're going to make 50,000, 100,000 and buy me. You got to create them, whether it's a distressed seller, whether it's a distressed people that own the house, it could be landlords, it could be, siblings that are just not happy. You got to, again, create it by maybe getting the seller to move to a different location, helping them find a rental place, helping them maybe find a new home. Maybe the sellers want to keep whatever they have and just run out. So those type of situations with good phone calls and good questions are going to help you to be creative on finding what's called a deal out there. So, okay. So please always speak to your legal, tax, and accounting. My presentation is strictly for information purposes only. So contact your any type of advisors so you can make a proper decision and an informed decision. Okay, phase one, finding houses to flip in today's market. So every house flipper has a deal in the pipeline, or so they say, or so they call it, but it is getting deals in your pipeline. It is a numbers game, by the way. So having a lot of deals or offers out there, it's okay. For newbies, people get scared. Let me give one offer. Let me see where it goes. It's a numbers game. So as many projects that you find, put the offers out and hopefully you'll get lucky with one or two coming back being accepted. And then you could choose which property that you like best from the numbers that make sense to you. So you need to have a reliable system or source that brings you good properties to the table. Technology has ever so changed our world of investing, and you should definitely take advantage of that. So, number of ways to find good properties, potential fix and flips out there. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail, but direct mail, using bandit signs on the grass, driving for dollars, which with some kick-ass flyers, tapping into off-market properties, and just like Maria was advertising from REIQ, finding off-market properties. And just by the way, off-market properties, what that really means is, they're not actually listed on the MLS yet. So it's kind of off market, whether the realtor only wants to give it to her savvy investors, her clientele that she built up a relationship with, people that could actually close on a deal, that have the capital, that have the financing. So before realtors actually put it on the market, that's considered an off-market property. But it could be anybody else. It could be a seller who hasn't just put it out there yet on any type of marketing. And you could find those off-market deals, again, from data such as REIQ and other companies, which I'll mention very soon, going to networking events and more. But that's how you can find an off-market property. And those type of properties will give you the best chances of winning an offer or a bid because it's less competition, less people are knowing about, the property out there. Door knocking for profits. I'll go into that a little more depth. That's a very old-fashioned method of finding properties and deals and being creative. Property scouts. Property scouts, again, I'll go into that a little bit. Networking your way to new deals. Networking, I believe, is always an opportunity to grow. So REI, which is real estate investment groups, you could find them on meetup.com or any other real estate investment companies or groups that you know about in your city or state. Join them because you're going to find lenders, you're going to find wholesalers, you're going to find off property deals, you're going to find realtors. So that's a great way to start or increase and grow your real estate, massive wealth, massive wealth in real estate. And then the last bullet is online classifieds mining the web for deals. And again, such as REIQ and other, companies that I'll mention. So, evaluating deals and projecting profits on an investment property, you need to use a proven house flipping formula and effective due diligence. So, here are some questions that you need to answer and figure out if a deal is really a deal. And this applies whether you're flipping, wholesaling, or actually going to, I'm not going to say living in there, but going to rent it out. So, what's the value of the property? So, it's not always about the after repair, but what is the purchase price today? And us lenders want to know what is the as is value. So, if you're buying a property for 100, we want to know that that as is value is greater than the 100 or at least the same value. How would it make sense if you're buying a property for 100, but the values are coming up 80 or 90 or 70,000? That doesn't make any sense. Not unless you have a winner in the haystack that something is going to come up there, like a college or a great multifamily that you can compete with. But other than that, you want to look for prices that are below the as is, and you want to look for a after repair value of 70%. But the next bullet is, what are the repair costs? What are other costs associated with a flip? So other associated costs that go with the flip is going to be, when you're using a lender, you're going to have your interest payments, you're going to having origination, the underwriting, third party costs such as title, house insurance. You'd be going to having, your monthly payment to the lender. Now, it may sound like, oh, it's so intimidating, but with a lender, they're taking the most risk and you're putting down as least as possible. So to explain this all, if you have a house for 100,000 and you put down 100,000 of your own cash, but that property netted you 100,000 in profit, and again, this is just an example. So again, if you put in 100,000 cash into to purchase the property, and it's going to net you $100,000 in profit, you only made 100% return on the investment. But if you take using a lender's money and putting down 10%, and 90% is coming from the lender, so your $10,000, same deal, going to net you 100 grand. Well, you just made 1,000% return on your investment. 100% return using your own money, 1,000% return using other people's money, which is OPM, which is a lender. So it's always, you have to think about the numbers, which we'll get into, the purchase price, the after repair value. But I just want to let you guys know it's imperative that you use a lender or OPM, other people's money, to gain the greatest return on your investment. Now, look, if you have so much capital that you're able and willing and you're comfortable going into your personal assets and bank account, then by all means, then maybe do it and save yourself on the monthly payments and the points. But if you have limited capital and a few 100,000 and your 401 is tied up and your ROA is tied up, don't go into your personal assets. I'm a big advocate. Never go into your personal assets. I know borrowers in the past who've used their 401, IRA, their HELOCs, and even their own cash. And when deals go sour, whether it's the economy, whether it's a tsunami, whether it's COVID, things do happen. There's a turn, an unfortunate turn in the market. Things could, effectively, affect your numbers and affect your personal income or your assets. So when you're going with a lender, they're taking the most risk and they're putting up the most money, and that's what you kind of want to do. What are the other critical areas of the due diligence I need to focus on? Well, it's about a deal calculator going over the numbers. I'm going to go through it. So this is our website, and the deal calculator, which I could share with, it's on our website, so you could always go there after the webinar. But put in the purchase price, the after repair value, the loan amount, the ARV lenders want to be today about 70%. Time to flip, you could put in whatever months you think it's going to take you to do it. Interest rates today, anywhere from 10, 11, 12%, typically 2 points. Everything is defaulted over here, so you may want to just leave this alone. But if you're working on a property that's over $1 million, you should put it about 1% mansion tax. And again, everything else you should leave kind of defaulted. Broker is a realtor. So if you're ever going to sell the property, whatever that realtor is going to charge you, typically out there in the US, it's about 3 to 4%. But I want to get to the bottom over here. Once you're crunching your numbers, if you're comfortable making $45,000 and 108% return, then go for it. That's what you should be going for. So this is a good formula to use so you could feel comfortable with the numbers and moving forward or not. For the newbies out there that are doing deals, and they may tell me sometimes, oh, I don't want to make anything less than 75 or $100,000. I say, what's wrong with making a little bit less, learning while you're learning, educating yourself as you're doing a deal, because that's $80,000 potential profit can turn into zero, or it can turn into 20 or 30. I'm just a different advocate where better to work small, start small, crawl, walk, and then run. So when people tell me that, okay, I'm happy making 20, $30,000, it's my first or second deal. As a lender, we feel more comfortable. And that's, kind of the mindset that you should be having also. Just trying to set the mindset over here. So funding for loans, whether you're fixing and flipping or whether you're fixing and keeping, we're a lender that does both short term, long term. We work with newbies, we work with experienced investors, and again, commercial properties all day long. Flipping a house with no money. If you plan to, do a quick flip, wholesaling with no money, your investor buyers need access to funding as well. Please keep us in mind. So again, if you're a wholesaler, you're not really have any out-of-pocket expense. You're making a quick 5, 10, 15, $20,000. Hopefully your end buyer needs the financing. We appreciate the referral if you can give it to us. But the folks out there who don't know what wholesaling is, it's kind of like a realtor without the MLS license. What they're doing is they're not selling the property per se, they're selling the contract. So the wholesaler went into contract with the seller, and now the wholesaler is approaching you guys out there to buy the property, and he's saying, here's a contract. I want to sell it for 20,000, 10,000 above the contract price, whatever it may be. And that's what he's doing without the MLS license. It's a great way to find properties, and that is another way for off market properties. And again, you can meet wholesalers at a lot of these REI groups and other places in your local city or state. So fixing a house, whether you're a do-it-yourself flipper or a hands-off flipper, you have to have some level of oversight with every project. You need to consider, do you know what to fix and why? Do you know when to fix it? It matters. And do you know what to look for in a good contractor? So with the first bullet, do you know what to fix and why? The most important part of the houses, believe it or not, are the bathrooms and the kitchen. Bathrooms number one, kitchen number two. Everything else is kind of minute, even though the bedrooms could be small or big. It's not a major factor when you're fixing and flipping. Do you know when to fix? I'm on the East Coast. It's freezing. Sometimes it's snowing, and I got my clients telling me I'm going to do a ground up right now in December, and I say, well, it just snowed a few days ago. By the time you get permits and all that, yeah, you could probably get started in March or April. But if you're thinking of doing a ground up or a very heavy rehab on the East Coast with rains and snow and all that, it matters. And how about if you have to do any type of lawn care on the property when you finish the property? Are you going to do it midwinter when it's bad weather out there? So knowing when to fix it matters, what to fix and why, and do you know what to look for in a good contractor? So just to go over some thoughts that I had about a contractor, uh, give me a second. I'm so sorry, guys. 1 second, I had it out. Oh my. Okay. So when you're hiring a contractor, you should be looking to hire a contractor, make sure that they're kind of the best and legit. Now, how do I find the best one? How do I find a legit one? Many, many, many ways. First, ask questions to ensure your project will go smoothly, somewhat easy and quick. Um, who has hired them recently that can give you they can give you a referral. And you want to even call those referrals. If they're giving you three or four, great. If he's giving you one, and I've had contractors who gave me one, and I would say, no, I want three or four. I want to call all three or four. When you're working with contractors and you have those three or four guys coming in a day, try to get them all in one day. And I'm going to tell you why. And I would spread out the time. For example, 10, 12, 2, and 4. Spread it out over 2 or 3 hours. You don't want two guys coming roughly the same time because you don't want to forget what person three said, person two said, and person one said. So you should have a notebook with you, handy notes, comments, prices, and things like that. And you want to have a good comparison from all 3 to 4 contractors. I don't personally like to go with the cheapest because I believe cheap is crap and cheap is not going to get you where you want to be. I like to stand somewhere in the middle. Meaning if somebody's, for example, 70,000 and somebody's 100, I'm going to look at my notes or look at his bid and see why is that 70,000 guy 30,000 cheaper versus the guy that's 30,000 higher. Maybe there's something there that's going to bring a value add. So these are good questions to know and ask. Um, you want to know, talk to past clients. Maybe you know somebody from a RIA, like I mentioned before, or a networking group. Have you worked with a contractor and are you happy with them? But I believe more importantly, it's a relationship and it's a communication. So if the contractor is not your type of a person, don't work with him because if you're asking him to do something in line or out of line and he's going to get upset with you, you're not going to have a good relationship and you're going to, you both are going to be angry. It's not going to be a good thing. So you want to have a good relationship and great communication from the onset. Punctuality is important. Maybe you want to ask him how many people are going to be on board. How many people is he hiring? Is he going to be here every day on the job site? Let him put it into the contract. Is it his own crew? Is he subcontracting it? Um, are there any judgments or any bankruptcies on him or the company? I know it may sound scary. Oh, I'm pressing on him too much, but you don't want to have a contractor starting that's giving you a great price and just doesn't show up anymore. That's going to hurt your deal flow. It's going to hurt everything on your numbers. So doing your homework up front could definitely help you from the onset. Um, and again, just going back, are there any liens? Is he insured? The subcontractors that he's hiring, is he in control of them? Um, and two main questions that you want to ask him, tell him what is the best way to communicate with us to work together? Is it through a text? Is it through a conversation, face to face? Is it through an email? And you want to know how often he's going to be there and his crew. The second question, excuse me, I have three good questions is what is the best way to communicate? Are you going to be daily on the job site? And how do you want to get paid? Is it weekly? Is it biweekly? Excuse me, bi-monthly? Things like that. So these are very important aspects of the contract to know beforehand. And again, I'm just telling you from experience. I'm 59, and I'm a guy that just wants to get to the nitty gritty. Tell me the price. This is what I want to do. And a lot of times, I didn't do my due diligence properly. Whether it's asking, whether it's calling up the people that he had, past past, excuse me, construction work done. It's very important. I had a client who once told me, Marty, I did the due diligence and I called 4 clients and they all gave him great rapport. He hired him, and guess what? They were all his friends and family. So it's there's no way you can get around that, but just try to do your homework as best as possible so you can make sure that everything is going as planned for you. So 16 mistakes to avoid in your fix and flips. So, are you want to get an unlicensed contractor? It may not seem like a big deal. Mostly everybody doesn't use a licensed contractor. And by the way, hard money lenders, we don't look at the contractor's license. We don't look if he's licensed, unlicensed, his permits. So that's a very common thing. So don't worry about that. But it may bite you in the bullet after you're finished with your job because if the inspector comes and sees that it's not done up to code, or if you have a nasty neighbor that reports on you almost every day, These are things to look out for. So, do I need to hire a licensed contractor or not? Do I want to hire it? Maybe one of those 3 to 4 appointments should be a licensed contractor, so you could see the difference. And I'm an advocate of just being more comfortable, a little more safer. I'm okay making $10,000 less, and I sleep at night than to possibly lose 20 or 30, $40,000 in the deal and have potential problems hit me, after when I'm ready to put it on the market or sell it. Skipping a conversation with your local real estate expert. The internet is a marvelous source of marketing information, but it shouldn't be your only source. So I'm going to go into ways to find properties right now, but your local pro, again, from RIA groups, REIQ is a great way. Local real estate experts is also another way to do it. And by the way, realtors have a good sense of the market. They know what the after repair value should be. If they're a good realtor, they should know what it is. And when you're getting friendly with them, and another thing about realtors, by the way, you need to build up a rapport. They're getting 100 phone calls a day from new investors, old investors, savvies, you name it, they're getting calls. Even though it's a very tight market right now, very little property listings. And when a listing comes up or they get an off-market deal, they're not going to just call you right away because you're brand new to them. You just called them up a few days ago. They're already the people in their pipeline that they know, like I said to you before, that has the capacity to close, knows the market, is already approved for funding, and like they're not going to look bad to the seller, and they're going to get their commission. Why am I saying this? You need to build up a relationship with your realtor. Take them out for coffee, take them out for lunch, tell them all about you. I have X amount of dollars. I want to buy in this sector, in that sector. And maybe, yeah, I'm only going to buy, maybe, yes, I'm only going to buy one property in the first year, but I'm going to get there and I'm going to get there and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And, we're building up a relationship, and taking them out really means a lot. Now they're going to tell you, I don't need to go out for lunch or coffee. Just tell me what you want. I'll do my best. You got to push in this industry. You just got to push to try to get your name out there, to be acclimated, and to be resourceful, because you never know when that realtor is going to call you and hopefully give you that particular project that makes sense to you. So high-end flips come with high stakes. If your buyers don't love a big ticket design decision that you made, it's going to book. It's going to hurt you in the long run. I'm just trying to say is that not always the nicest house in the block, spending so much money on your rehab, is always going to be benefiting for you. So that's something to be very, look out for as a pitfall. Neglecting easy fixes. Sure, a gut renovation that gives an old home an open floor plan delivers more wow than ever before, but sometimes the small things like doorknobs and light switches can be very, very eye-opening to the buyer. And that buyer, think in mind, it not only could be a future investor, but it could be a homeowner that likes what they see, but also, again, those things could be doorknobs, light switches, a nice chandelier, and other ideas, which I'm going to be sharing with you in a moment. Jumping into a do or die flip in the real estate market in your region takes a sudden turn. You need to be careful and find the need to change your strategy. Meaning, you should always have two strategies. Those strategies will be to flip for the profit, or my exit will be to keep it for the refi and have the cash flow. But sometimes it has to be tweaked to the opposite. I'm going to keep it for the refi and then eventually sell. Why? Because you may have those tight markets where sometimes you just can't sell the property. You need to be prepared to hold tight until it's eventually ready to be sold, and have the extra cash on hand if you're shortfall every month on the monthly payment for the permanent financing. So just basically, again, even though every investor should have definitely one strategy, you have to have one. But if your strategy is, I'm going to flip first, and if I don't flip, I'll keep it. Well, you need to know that if I keep it, do I need to come out of pocket for the monthly mortgage payment if it doesn't cover the monthly payment? I've had some investors know how to do it because it was just very hard to sell properties last year, 2 years ago. But now as things are getting better, but it's something to be thinking about when you're investing. Staging without a pro. At first, I recommend going with a stager. They're pros, they know what they're doing, from furniture to light scenes to scent, smell, and things like that. After a while, maybe once or twice you use them, then maybe you could take their tricks and do it yourself for future projects. But if you're a newbie, I would, my opinion, strongly recommended. And again, you want to look the end of the day, you want to sell it, you want to have a good name. And if it's an investor, they're going to be calling you again because they like what they saw. So it's not always about the price, it's the way you treated them, it's the look of the house, it was a quicker closing, everything went well. That investor hopefully will call you again on your second deal. And think about it, if it's a homeowner, that homeowner may call his friend and say, I know this person that just sold me this house. It was beautiful. I love the furniture. I love the look. I love the scent. The price was a little bit high, but the guy treated me well. So let me go and, maybe I'll call you'll call you guys as a wholesaler or, an investor. Racing to the clock. This is a very important aspect is you don't ever want to rush your job because falling short of the profit you should have made because you prioritize speed over a job well done, not a good idea. Just want to, again, some insight on this just for more clarity. Whatever the rehab costs you, sometimes you got a day job, you got to run back to work. You don't want to spend 3 hours with the contractor. Yeah. Just do it. Just do it. You're screaming and you're yelling. Don't do it. Don't rush. Don't rush. I know it's costing you money every month on the payment. I know it's costing you money every month on the taxes, but sometimes going a little bit slower, doing it right, thinking about what you're doing. Should I spend an extra 5, 10,000 now because of this and this? Or should I not? Sometimes take a step back, think about it, because if you're spending the extra money, maybe you'll get to that RV that you wanted to get to, or maybe you'll even get a little bit more. But don't just rush and get it done with. And sometimes investors, they get excited. They're in their first deal, and all of a sudden they're calling me with their second deal, and I'm giving them the financing on their second deal. But then the first deal, it kind of went bad for them because now they were so excited and they put all their focus on the second deal. I'm not saying don't do two simultaneously. I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to say take it slow, get it done right. Think about sometimes because you're going to have issues on your rehab. Should I spend more money now that I have this issue? Whether it's a beam that has to be taken out now, or I need to knock down this wall to give it more room. Am I going to get to the ARV that I want to get to or need to get to, or am I going to get more now because I'm spending this kind of money? Starting a dozen projects at once, just like I was saying, be careful. Better to do one right than to do two, incorrectly. And always make sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's to follow the project through to completion, no matter how mind-numbing, tedious it may be. And I want to go back to the contractor issue. Please, guys, don't think of leaving your contractor there. You signed the contract, you got a great conversation, you're having a great communication. Don't show up once a week. He's going to take advantage of you. He's going to take advantage of you. He's going to have less people there. He's going to say, you're not here. You're not on top of the mess. And just to give you a real live example, I had somebody in my house today. I told him to put concrete on my house outside the wall and on the sidewalk. And he doesn't know that I live in my house because it's like a summer area. And I called him tonight and I said, look, there's no concrete here and here. And he said, oh, I forgot to do it. So bottom line is appear at your project every day, every other day. Calling and texting him is great, but being there is going to show that you're a serious investor. So ignoring the 70% rule. So it's a tried and true formula in the real estate investment world. Take your ARV, multiply it by 70%, and subtract your repair cost estimate. That's the maximum allowed offer that you should be paying. And I'll go over that. And that's called MAO, maximum allowed offer. So let's say your ARV is 500,000, multiply it by 70%. Your offer should not be, well, let's take that 350 minus, let's just say it's 300,000 rehab. Your max allowed offer should not be no more than 300,000. You should be starting out 250, 260, whatever it may be, but you should not be exceeding, what was that number that I said? $300,000. So just to simplicity, multiply your ARV by 70%, deduct your rehab, and that should be your maximum allowed offer. Most lenders are 70%. Before COVID, we were at 75%. Our lenders going back to 75. I'm not hearing it. So I don't know if it's happening, but 70% rule has been around for a long time. And just to let you know why that 70% rule, it's because after, God forbid, a lender or has to take over the property or there's, some losses there, in that 30% equation is realtor fee, downtime, and other issues. So there's a 30% cushion. That's why, in a way, there is no financial crisis like we had in 2007 and 2008 that hit us now when COVID hit in 2019, 2020. If you realize in 27, 2000, in 2007 was a financial crisis, and the USA should have had one again. But due to 70% rule of an ARV, due to lower leverage, if you're buying a home with a bank, a Fannie, a Freddie Mac, there's lower leverages than before 2007 to protect the economy of the United States. Okay, venturing into the eraser math. Ooh, very important thing here. So speaking of figures, the temptation to overestimate your potential properties, ARV, in order to justify a higher maximum allowed offer can be strong, particularly for the first-time investors who find themselves asked to pay slightly more than they expected, but it's just not worth it. So you're new, you're excited, you think you got yourself a great deal over here. Let's use that example. You know it's a 500 ARV, you did your comps, your realtor's telling you it's 500, but the seller is being very adamant. He wants more than that $300,000 because, again, if you take 70% of 500 is 350, you know you need 50,000 in rehab. You should no more than pay than 300. But the seller, the realtor is enticing you. Give me three and a quarter, 350. So now your emotions come into play. Well, let me make the ARV 550 or 600 because I'm going to add an extra bedroom and I'm going to this and I'm going to that. You're playing with fire when you do that. So if your comps are telling you the area, the size of the property, the square footage, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, pool or no pool, backyard, no backyard, all this matters. But if your ARV is coming up to, just an example of 500, do not come up with more than that 70% rule, less your rehab cost. So don't be emotional and say, you know what, it's my first flip. I'll pay 20,000 more, 30,000 more. Look at the deal calculator. Okay, so look, if your deal calculator is coming in at a 70,000 profit, but now you're going to come in 20,000 more. Okay, so instead of making 70, you may make 50. Hey, what's wrong with it? I'm a very big advocate of 50% is greater than 100% of nothing. So that's okay. But just don't be emotional and overbid, outbid yourself and get hurt in the end because numbers don't lie, emotions lie. So if you remember, I said before about the landscape, it's a very important aspect of your property, believe it or not. Make sure it's clean, grass. You maybe want to put maybe a little bit into the bushes, whatever it may be, but you want to give it that luster where people could just say, I want to buy it. And I go back to the smell, I go back to the staging, I go back to the front. And by the way, if you the first thing that comes into somebody's mind, excuse me, what comes into somebody's mind is the first thing. And what's the first thing is the front look of the house and the landscape. And now their emotions are starting to say, you know what, I like it. And your brain is convincing you to look further at the property, which is inside. So that's on the end look of it. So just keep that in mind. As the Chinese philosopher said, Lao Tzu wrote in there, the wise man who knows what he does not know. A real estate pro would put it, the wise first-time flipper is one who knows that he or she must not try to remodel an entire kitchen by herself. Look, there's no science to it. People ask me all the time, do I spend 50,000 on the rehab? Do I spend 50,000 on the kitchen? You got to look at your ARV. If your ARVs are coming into the number that's going to make you feel comfortable spending that 50,000 on the rehab or 50,000 on the kitchen only, your ARV will come into line. But also your realtor, who should be your trusted advisor, should be your good input of knowing, you know what? Yes, it's true that if you put a nice kitchen cabinets or a larger size kitchen, and just remember the bathroom is number one, bathrooms, and number two is the kitchen. Waiving a professional inspection. Very, very important. A thorough inspection of a prospective property will cost you hundreds of dollars. When I mean inspection, an actual inspector looking at the property, but it can save you thousands of dollars in the long run. Meaning, you're buying a property, you should bring a home inspector to the property. Oh my God, I got 3 offerings and now they're accepted. And do I spend a few $100s on each inspector on each house? Well, if you want to save yourself money and headache and protect yourself, I would do it. If a seller is telling you it's going to be contingent on no inspection, if you're a newbie, I don't know if you should take that risk. I am not an advocate of that because what happens if a foundation problems, leak problems, roof problems, it could be the boiler, the air conditioning, the units, the this, the that. So all this can cost you much, much, much more in the long run. I suggest strongly using an inspector, a home inspector. But look, maybe you could partner up with somebody who has the experience to guide you. That'll be your best bet if you have a nice project that you have to bypass an inspector. I would ask for advice. I would ask for help, or maybe somebody that can go on the deal with you to be part of it. And by the way, going with somebody on the deal is okay if it's your first, I don't know, one, two, or three, because again, 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing and making the mistakes. And your partner has a vested interest in it because he's going to be making, and hopefully his dollars are into the deal too. So he's going to have a vested interest to make sure that it succeeds and it profits. That's something that's very favorable to you if you're a newbie. Ignoring the neighbors? Absolutely not. So buying an underpriced, ugliest house on the block is many flippers' favorite trick. Let me buy the ugliest house, get the greatest deal. But it's easy to forget that your place will be rehabbed and lovely by the time you list it, and other eyesores in the same neighborhood can impact its desirability. I mean, don't have the most beautiful, expensive house on the block. You want to be similar, maybe a drop more expensive, a drop lower, but you don't want to build, create a flip that's going to ARV instead of 500 for 600,000. If you're not in line, it's not going to work for you. Cutting corners in the bathroom. So remember I said to you before that the bathroom is the number one thing that people look at when buying homes. Your floor plan and budget should accommodate a full modern bathroom. It's worth your time. Many experts argue that the bathroom renovation provides your greatest return on the investment. And that is ever so true, not just for me, for many experts out there, and you can read up on that as well too. So kitchen is number two, like I said early on in the presentation. Demolishing cabinets that can be refaced. Remember again, just leaving your contractor to his choice and design and thoughts. Well, it's good to get his ideas, but I also go with getting a second, third, or fourth guy to give you, let him give you ideas, think about them and all that. But basically, sometimes it's okay to reface a cabinets and spend X amount of dollars less because if it's executed and done right, it could look like a brand new, lustering kitchen. We have a rehab checklist on our website. I'll go through it very quickly with everybody here. It's on our website, so you could always get it for free. These are things that I suggest that you print out, maybe 30 or 40, and keep them in your car. And when you're interviewing those 3 or 4 contractors per property, write down what they're saying and everything like that. Put the cost down, and this way you know from contractor 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you need to make that decision on what you want to do. Flipping the house, executing a profitable sale is no accident, and it's not gonna say it's quite easy, but it's easy today because houses are very scarce, inventory is very scarce, so people are buying, believe it or not, still in a way sight unseen, bidding wars and all that. So with that said, you want to still have a profitable sale, whether you plan on making 50,000, $100,000. Don't just think just because it's a bidding war out there and I can't find properties and it's known and it's a great market that I'm going to sell this price. I'm going to sell this house no matter what. So be careful, strategize, get advice, and it's okay if you're making mistakes. It's okay. I mean, look, you got to make mistakes to learn, to educate yourself and get the experience. Nobody in this world has ever, has been a successful business person without making mistakes. From there, you're going to learn who to use as a lender, title company, contractor. You're going to learn, you're going to get more sharper, and you'll be more successful in the industry of fixing and flipping or buying and holding. So when thinking about getting started flipping houses, what do you have and what do you need? Well, first thing is you got to find the deals. Well, I'm going to say properties because they're created. What skills or systems you have to put in place to start finding deals? whether it's off market or on market. And it's okay to start even on market. Again, the off market is you're going to RIA groups, you're hopefully have a realtor that didn't put a property up there yet. But even if you have to go retail, which is on market and MLS, it's okay. Don't think it's not okay. I would say 80% of my investors are buying MLS site properties. But having a systems in place, if you're new, it's understandable. You may not have everything in place. Call me. I'll be glad to talk to you about it. But have a little system, whether it's paper, pencil, a CRM, whether I'm on a phone call, whether I'm gonna, do it many different ways on having just like a system and a thought process of what you're going to be doing. Just by winging it, it's not going to happen. So you have to have some type of a system. I'm going to dedicate a certain amount of hours a day. I'm going to do phone calls. I'm going to do driving for dollars. I'm going to go to RIAs twice a week. Have that system, have that goal plan, and put it into a plan is very important. Number two is figuring out, if your deal is really a deal. Do you know the formula? I discussed ARV. I discussed as is. You want it to be the same or higher the as is than your purchase price. Can you conduct effective due diligence? Again, it's your contractor, it's your property inspector. And if the answer is no, then try to figure out how you could do a deal. Partnering up with somebody with experience is a great way to do it. Funding, please contact us, whether it's a hard money, permanent 30-year fix. We also could do commercial properties. Fixing, how do you learn what, why, when, and how, and all that? I get this asked every single day, and there is no handbook on it. It's just a learning curve. Learning from other people what they've done, speaking to them, and just like I told you about the realtor, taking them out for coffee or lunch. Maybe if you met a savvy investor, an experienced investor, call them up the next day and tell them, I want to pick your brain and I want to offer you something. If please, lunch, dinner, a gift card or something like that. Tell them, I know your time is important. Whatever you could do to help me, I'd appreciate it. Pay him for it, treat him well, and he could be a great advocate to be successful on your real estate deals. So flipping, again, you need to have an exit, whether it's going to be to flip, and your second should be to refi. In this case, we're talking about flipping first. You need to be able to flip the property for profits, but it starts way before the house goes on the market. What do you need to learn about the flip part of the fix and flip? So everybody here, this is an important issue here. So let's go, give me 1 second. Okay, so this part, I'm going to tell you that unfortunately, in 2023, I'll just talk about the current market in current 23. I've had newbies who thought they were going to get, I'm just going to call it that $500,000 ARV. And then they call me after the 12 months and they say to me, oh, I want to extend. I want to extend. Well, most lenders will do 1 or 2 extensions after the 12 months are over. But now when the extra 6 months are over and they can't sell it, some guy put on solar panels. He spent $70,000 doing solar panels. What is that going to get you? That's a very limited buyer pool of somebody that wants solar panels. So before you put more money into your property, maybe it's better to go into the refi, don't pay for the extension, hold on to the property for the profits. And if you can keep it for, the next few years and you want to keep it, great. But it may pay to keep it until, the property or the market fits the property being sold. And again, sometimes maybe sell it for a little bit less and you'll make you'll make a couple thousand less. Better to make 50% of something than 100% of nothing is very, very important. So I'm just going to go into a little bit on how to find properties just to continue that conversation. So distressed properties, those are properties that owners can't manage, whether it's financially or physical neglect. Maybe it just needs repair. They don't have the patience to increase the rent or increase the value of the property. Maybe they're behind on their mortgage, they're delinquent. So those are great types of distressed properties to find. And I'll tell you in a few moments how you could find them. But selling these assets alleviate homeowners' credit. It alleviates their pressure and their worries. So these are great ways to, this is what a distressed property is and what you should be looking for. bankruptcy and divorce court settlements, probates. Talk to a court, go to the courts, speak to a probate attorney. Um, I would say REO is bank foreclosure properties, but you need to have a great relationship with bankers. So maybe we'll talk about that on a different discussion. MLS is real estate brokers, driving for dollars. That's the old fashioned way, like I discussed before. It's a great way to find properties. Zillow, which is I'll give you some website addresses. Zillow, GEO Data, Redfin, Hopstream, great websites besides REIQ, because you want data. Who is the owner, the address, to either call them up, meet them face to face, and when you get their address and you got their phone number, talk to them. If you don't have their phone number, you could do a skip trace, put a sign on the door. I'm a buyer, I'm an active investor, and I'm looking to buy properties. Cold calling from a list, mailing, like I said before, driving for dollars. An old fashioned way that I used to find properties is Craigslist. And my thoughts on Craigslist are the properties for sale are either homeowners that are embarrassed to put a for sale sign on their property, or maybe they can't afford to spend that 4 to 6% on a realtor fee. So that to me is an off market property listing. Great. Find it on Craigslist, and even go to the Craigslist rental tab and look for properties in your city and state and your price range, and call them up and say, look, I see it's for rent. My name is Marty, I'm an active real estate investor, and I want to know if you are now looking to ever sell your property. And if they say yes, you ask your questions, and if they say no, you could just tell them, look, I'm interested in. Can I keep your number, and can you take my number down if you're ever interested? I'd love to talk to you about it, and things like that. So Craigslist is the great way to find property listings. Um, Before you ever find, you should always have your financing in place and be approved or pre-approved. I'm not looking to sell anybody here, but you don't want to look bad to the seller. You don't want to look bad to the realtor. It's all about relationships, communications. You don't want to lose the deal, lose time, and have attorney issues and lawsuit issues. Have your financing in place, your own personal capital, and then going with a lender, being approved. You can approve anybody and everybody if you call or email me tomorrow or Monday, whatever you want to do. But have the financing in place before you actually, when you're actually finding properties, because you never know when you're finding it and it's there. You want to be in place. Get proof of funds from your lender. I will provide you proof of funds totally free, so you could secure bids. I repeat, secure bids. You want to go to the realtor and say, I'm willing to offer 300,000. Here is my lender's proof of fund. I'm already approved. By the way, realtors want it these days. It's not even a question. They want it. They kind of demand it because they want to know that they're earning their commission and they're not going to look bad to the seller. So it's important that you get proof of funds from your lender. Like I said before, inspect the property, do your due diligence, and don't be afraid to go into contract. You have a 3-day rescission. You could always back out. And in that 3 days or 7 days, you could do your inspection, talk to your lender, do whatever you have to do, but do it. Another way to do it is expired listings. MLS has expired listings that expired, 6 months ago. That is 6 month listing, a 3 month listing, a 9 month listing, and expired. I love those because a lot of realtors have given up on them. So if you tell your realtor, look up expired listings, give them your city, your state, your price range, and even the amount of bedrooms and bath. Be specific with them. And then they're going to tell you, oh, guess what? It doesn't show the pictures. It doesn't say how many bedrooms and bathrooms. I love that. You know why? Because when that previous realtor put up a crappy listing, he probably didn't get any hits because it didn't mention bedrooms, bath, or pictures. Now I'm going to come in looking like a rosy dozy. I'm going to tell the realtor, you know what? Email it to me. Let me look at it. Let me take a look at it because now I could probably buy it myself. So you're finding properties that are kind of off market by being savvy in the way you're looking at things. Another way you could find expired and vacant listings, if you want to write this down, is my plus and the word plus leads.com. Like I said before, realtors.com. Redx, redx.com is a great place for, again, it's a website. You could find properties. And REIQ, like Maria said, is a database. I saw that it's fresh leads. it's updated. It's very important to know that your leads are updated. But guys, you could buy all the leads that you want. You could skip trace, you could mail, you could do door knocking. But if you don't do the work, how are you ever going to find a property? And when people tell me I can't find a property and I ask, what are you doing? Oh, I'm calling my realtor once a month. Is that an active way to find properties? Are you being creative? You should have many, many realtors in your pipeline. You should have many, many wholesalers. You should have many facets of ways of doing it, from websites and skip tracing and the lists and all types of lists to do. Having just one or two channels, is not going to get you there. With that said, we do hard money, commercial mortgages, meaning 30-year perm, whether it's a 1 to 4, or commercial properties, meaning mixed use, multifamily, industrial, retail, warehouse, and things like that. Just to give you a quick snippet, on the left side is our permanent financing for 1 to 4 units, 75,000 to 3 million, minimum score 650. We could do 80% on the purchase, 75% on a cash out, and we're a 1.0 debt service lender, meaning if the property's cash flow and mortgage payment is even at zero, we're fine. We're fine with that. Most lenders want to be at a 1.20, meaning they want 20% more cash flow coming in on rent versus the mortgage. We are not that lender. We could go as 1.0 and even lower than that. So you want a lender that could deal with anything, 10, 120. We're that lender. On the right side, just to go to the right side a minute, fix and flips, even though it says 100,000 K minimum, we could do 75K minimum. Rates are anywhere 10, 11%. Again, we're not credit driven, so that 650 score, don't worry about that. We could do 90% of the purchase, 100% of the rehab. And then the light dot commercial is for commercial properties, and the bridge financing is for multifamily and mixed use on the bridge side. With that said, we are Express Capital Financing, and also you could find deals on a sister site that we have. It's called findthatflipdeal.com. You want to take a picture of it, whether you're a wholesaler, realtor, you could post properties there for free, and you could find properties there for free. That's all we ask, is please call us for the financing. We would love to help you and finance your deals. This is our contact information. And Maria, the floor is yours. I guess I will ask. Okay. So the questions here is from CR. How easy or difficult is remote fixing? I'm in Texas and the properties in Indiana, which is a low market value. Great question. So you're asking, can you be an out-of-state investor? It won't be hands-on. I don't recommend it. I've always say your first few deals should be in your back door, pay a little bit more, make a little bit less, learn the industry, learn the business. You're gonna make mistakes. Like I said before, it's okay. But to do, just because you're thinking that it's cheaper in the state of, where was it again? And the properties in Indiana, I'm gonna make more money. It sounds like it's a good thought, but in the beginning, it's not. Do it in your back door, maybe a few miles away, maybe a few counties away. It's better do that, make less profit, and then you could focus once you're fully acclimated. I don't have my thoughts would be after a good 5, 7, 10 deals, where I would start to branch out into a different state. A different state, you have to know the market. It's not just the purchase price and the as is and the ARV. It's really a market, because if you're buying on the wrong side of the street, my house is across the street, happens to be a different city. This is how crazy it gets. So you really, you need to know your market if you're going into a different state. The next person, Mo, asks, please repeat the website names for finding expired listings. Sure, Mo, no worries. Expired listings are my plus, the word plus, plus leads.com. Your realtor can give you expired listings. Redx, redx.com. There you would have to buy leads. It could be expired or vacant listings, and vacant listings, that means is it's a vacant owner. Maybe it's children who've got the property heir to them, or it's just a landlord who works in out of state landlord. I love those. I love those, because after time they're going to give up. They're going to give up and they just want to sell the damn property. So Any more questions from anybody? Nobody? Okay, I hope everybody enjoyed. Maria, you there? I feel terrible. I hope everybody enjoyed the presentation. My name is Martin Cherra. My company is Express Capital Financing. Looks like we got one more chat. How to estimate fixing cost? I think I kind of said this already. You should be bringing in many multiple contractors to make appointments with you. Print out the rehab list on my website, the checklist, and compare everybody's estimates. Do you go with the cheapest one? Absolutely not. Do you go with the most expensive one? Maybe. I don't know. But I would pick out of the four, the two middle people, but ask them questions. What are you giving me for 30,000 more? What are you giving me for 30,000 less? Referrals, feeling comfortable. A conversation is going to make you your deal more successful. I've thrown contractors out in the middle of their rehab. I've thrown contractors out on the middle of my own house because I didn't like what they did. If they promised me they were coming every day and they came once a week, I'm a serious businessman and I want to make money and I want to make it professionally and I want to make it sincerely. Every day counts. But I'm an avid investor where I could, chalk up a few days and finding somebody new or paying somebody that's a little bit more money, but that would get the job done. So that's my thoughts. No worries, no worries on that one. Does anybody have any more questions? No? Okay. I thank REIQ. I thank you, Maria. I thank everybody for joining. If you want to reach out to me just one more time, I will give you the information over here. Oops. Right here is the main number. If anybody wants my personal cell number, it's 347-348-0262. 348 excuse me, yeah, 347-348-0262. If you want to reach out to our company, you could do that over there. I hope I provided a lot of information over here, and I'll be happy to help anybody on the future endeavors in real estate. Thank you and good night.